Story 1. The chocolate bars I said would last until next week did not, in fact, last until next week. I ate them all and then went and bought replacements. Story 2. 4 years. She has always talked about wanting to go to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. Even as we started spending Thanksgiving each year in the Midwest with my extended family, she would wake up at 5 a.m. every year and watch all the preparations on television and the entire parade. This year, she thinks we are going back to the family farm for the holidays, but in reality, I have flights and a hotel booked in Midtown Manhattan. I am usually the one who handles travel details, so I think I can get her onto the plane before she realizes the surprise. I am bursting at the seams trying to keep it a secret and not tell her. Story 3. She has a habit of taking phone calls from family members at inconvenient times because they last for hours. I come from a family that barely holds phone calls over 3 minutes. One night, she took a call from her parents on the way home and stayed on the phone, so long it delayed our dinner plans. I was getting agitated and annoyed with how long she stayed on the call, but I did my best to compose myself because I had a strange thought. Stop it. This could be the last conversation she ever has with them. There was no reason to think that other than my tendency to think catastrophically. He died of a massive heart attack 4 days later. I still haven't told her what went through my head that night, even after 7 years. Story 4. For months now, I have been hiding how my wallet is completely falling apart because I do not want a wallet for Father's Day. Story 5. Last year, the resort we went to did not have our room ready for our first night, so they put us in a spectacular upgraded room for one night only. We were a little upset at first because we had booked the stay 6 months in advance, and my wife likes to unpack everything once she gets in the room, especially since we have children and a lot of belongings. But when we got to the room, we were absolutely amazed at how gorgeous it was. It was on a high floor with amazing views of the water and very spacious. We loved it, and the next morning we went to our reserved room, which was still great, but it was like buying a Mustang and being given a Ferrari for 24 hours. We still love the Mustang, but anyway, we are going back this year, and she does not know I booked that upgraded room for the entire stay. I have kept the secret for almost 6 months, with nearly 6 more to go. Story 6. The bathing suit I recently bought is water-activated and will reveal dinosaur skeletons when I go in the water. Story 7. My wife turns 40 on Wednesday, and I am taking her to the Bahamas, not Gary, Indiana, as I have been telling her. Story 8. I did not get his nail trimmers from Rite Aid as he asked me to. They came from Dollar General. Story 9. I am slowly putting together a Christmas stocking for her. She has not had one since she was a child, and her family is not very celebratory. I hope it turns out great and brings her Christmas spirit back. Story 10. We are not married yet. We are getting married in 13 days. I bought her a necklace to wear on the wedding day, and the pendant is made with her brother's ashes. He passed away when she was 10, so this way she can have her brother with her on the wedding day. Story 11. I am paying to have her parents fly in from Scotland as a surprise birthday gift. She has not seen them in person since 2019. Story 12. My wife adored and idolized her late grandfather. I found out through an associate of his after he died that he was not entirely free of organized criminal influences. He was a great grandfather to her and was always good to me. I keep that secret from her. She does not need to know. Story 13. It's pretty messed up, but here it goes. I know she looks at my comments on Reddit every once in a while, and this post will catch her eye if I comment on it. Hi, babe. Edit. She has seen this and now I have to explain. Edit 2. I might die tonight. Edit 3. I survived. She is happy so many people can support me. Edit 4. I now have to worry if she's home alone at the house when I come back from work. Story 14. I am saving money to buy him a better controller for his Xbox. Gaming is the only hobby he can really enjoy right now because we are broke, but his controller is very poor quality. Story 15. For the last 12 years, I have kept a secret book and have our children draw and write notes to my wife every Mother's Day before she wakes up. It should be filled in about 4 years, and we will give it to her on that Mother's Day. 16 years of memories go back to when they were babies and could barely hold a crayon to make some scribbles. My wife is not sentimental and never cries. This day we will make her weep. Story 16. There was one very faint line on the pregnancy test this morning. I am waiting for him to come back after a long shift so I can tell him in person. Thank you everyone for the congratulations and tips. It is no longer a secret but also very early days, so I am trying my best not to get carried away. Thanks so much for letting me share this with you. I could not contain myself alone in the house today. Story 17. I'm not sure if this answer really fits, but I always found this jarring with my ex. My ex was someone who was really good at dissociating and compartmentalizing, mostly because of his career in the military and law enforcement. Coping mechanism, I suppose. He wasn't keeping these things from me, but every now and then he would share a traumatizing story and tell it with no emotion, or maybe even laugh as if it were a quirky memory. Meanwhile, I was just sitting there slack-jawed. Things like seeing a motorcyclist get decapitated, getting drugged, kidnapped, and robbed in Turkey. Also, he couldn't remember his childhood and thought there was nothing wrong with that. Story 18. I watch some movies before she does, and then I watch them again with her, pretending I am seeing them for the first time. Story 19. Guys, I made a mistake. We have location sharing on Google Maps, and I saw that she was at Dairy Queen, but she didn't tell me. So I went to Dairy Queen without her as revenge. She still doesn't know. Story 20. I smell his armpit when he unconsciously raises his arm while sleeping. Do not get me wrong. His scent is very pleasant, so it is not a strange fetish. Story 21. Flatulence. We do not discuss it, do not do it in front of each other, and if it accidentally happens, deny it. However, he let out an unusually long flatulence sound in his sleep, which ended with a whistle. It was surprising. I had to leave the room to laugh and cannot tell him because he would be very embarrassed. Story 22. I am depressed. I am really depressed. He is usually the one who is depressed. I often give him support. I am afraid to let him know that I feel sad and need someone to comfort me too. I do not want to seem weak when he needs a strong person who loves him unconditionally. Story 23. My wife thinks I am afraid of spiders. I am not. I just do not want to deal with them, and now she thinks she is my protector. Story 24. My wife has multiple disabilities and often feels inferior to me because it is much easier for me to do things like cooking. So I pretend that I am really bad at certain tasks and say that I would like her to do them instead because she is better at them, such as cleaning mushrooms or wiping the windows. Story 25. I have had 2 accidents in my life. She only knows about one of them. The other time, she was minutes away from the incident. Story 26. I just shared my biggest secret with her this weekend. I admitted how close I have been several times to committing suicide. Story 27. It is our 20th anniversary tomorrow. She watches our accounts carefully so she knows all the money that goes in and out. I used my mother's credit card to book us a cruise. Just me and her, and she has no idea. It is going to be spectacular. Story 28. I can open all the jars and reach almost everything, but I will continue to ask him for help until the day I die. Story 29. My husband builds Gundam kits. When I am upset with him, I purposely knock the small weapons out of their hands or change their poses so they look silly. Story 30. He is not my spouse yet. The secret is that I am thinking of proposing to him tonight. He does not use Reddit, so I think I am safe disclosing that here. Since a few of you asked for an update, my plan is to do this over dinner in about 2 hours, at 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. I am cooking some nice steaks and will ask him then. I am so nervous. Update. It went about as expected. We have been together almost 10 years. I always said I am not the marrying type, and even though he wanted to at first, he accepted that. Over the last few months, I have shifted my position and want to get married. This conversation was just to open the door and let him walk us through it if and when he wants to. He was gracious but blindsided. More conversations ahead. I let him know that either way, nothing will change, and this is not a deal breaker. Story 31. He doesn't know that I accidentally overheard part of his telehealth therapy appointment when I was changing one day. The office is next to our bedroom and he was talking unusually loud. Normally, I can't hear him beyond muffled words I can't understand. Nothing bad was said about me, but I did not know the depths of his self-hatred until that moment. I have been going out of my way to tell him every small good thing he does now. I was complimentary before, so hopefully he doesn't have suspicions, but now I have a focused awareness on anything I heard him say he hated about himself or was insecure about. My husband is amazing and he deserves to feel that way about himself too. Story 32. I have issues with attraction to him because of everything that has happened between us and I feel anxious being around him. I hate myself for it. Story 33. Things have been pretty rough for me outside the relationship, and I started smoking again after quitting for more than half a year. I intend to quit again soon, but I don't have the heart to tell her I started again. Story 34. That pretty much every orgasm I have had, I have faked. He is so bad in bed and will not take constructive criticism or even really talk about it when I try. I learned long ago to just fake it and then take care of it myself later. He is lucky I love him dearly. Story 35. Every night I lie awake worrying about everything from bills to our daughter's future, to remembering my father before he passed, to what color I want to paint the fence. My mind races and I always reach the same point. Death. What will happen when I die? Does it just go black and that's it? Will my family be okay when I am gone? Will I live a full life or die young? The stress of just writing this is overwhelming. Story 36. What I know is that he lies about unnecessary things, has unusual sexual interests, and talks to other women online under the pretense of learning, education, or spirituality. However, I saw a sex tape one of them sent him a few months ago. Not that I needed to see it to know, but he really thinks he is so smart and he is not. I am always 10 steps ahead of him. He also pays for OnlyFans, which would not be a big deal if he was not already so messed up. He drives trucks and has tried to pay for a prostitute while on the road before, and buy sex tapes from people on Twitter. He is completely freaked out. He is watching me from across the room as I write this. What he does not know is that when I become more financially stable, I am leaving him. Not my husband, by the way, just a longtime partner. Story 37. I vaccinated my daughter. He is against vaccination and still believes she is healthy because she has no vaccines. Story 38. Not my spouse. We have been dating for half a year now and only recently decided to be official. I absolutely love and adore him so much that I sometimes want to cry. I want him to be the last person I will ever date and I cannot wait to move in together because I want him around all the time. Of course, he knows to some extent, but it feels a bit intense so soon. He is absolutely amazing. Story 39. I really love Damascus steel knives. For my birthday a few years ago, I received a set of Japanese Damascus steel knives. They are not actually Damascus steel. They are somewhat cheap knives with a fake Damascus design. My friends were very excited when they gave them to me. I do not think I can ever tell them they are fake because it would break their hearts. I still use the knives and will continue to use them. Story 40. My wife passed away when we were 29, but she never knew that I was the sperm donor for one of my best friend's children. We did not have sex. I was the literal sperm donor, spooned in a cup. My wife and my friend's husband, now ex-husband, thought it was an anonymous donor. There might be a medical document listing me as the donor, but he is not very bright. Their first 2 children were biologically theirs. They wanted a 3rd child, but he got testicular cancer, lost a testicle, and became sterile. The ex-husband abandoned them when the child was 2 or 3 years old and avoided paying child support for any of their children. He stayed unemployed and lived at his parents' house until the youngest turned 18, so I did not cheat him financially. Their 3rd child does not look like me, but she is the only one of the 3 who wears glasses, is almost 6 feet tall. Her sisters are about 5 feet 6 inches, and is good at math, probably just a coincidence. Her mother and I promised no one would find out, but everyone is using DNA testing services. I never will, but my sister is on a DNA testing service. Pretty awkward if she ever finds out she suddenly has a niece. Story 41. My boyfriend loves Magic. The Gathering, especially the artwork. He has about 30,000 cards. Over the last year, I have slowly asked questions to figure out his all-time favorite artist. I have spoken with his friends about what kind of cards are his favorite. I have done extensive research. His birthday is soon, and I got him a card from his favorite artist with a one-of-a-kind drawing. And they even wrote a little happy birthday message for him. The card has finally arrived and is being kept hidden at someone else's home. It has been a really hard year for us in many ways, but we have been powering through it. He also hates celebrating his birthday, but I like to make him feel special. I am so excited to give it to him. Story 42. My father left my mother with nothing when I was a toddler. I was scared of being homeless again, so the flat he thought I was renting when we first met, I never told him I owned it outright and rented it out when I moved in with him. After 14 years and a lot of therapy, I finally felt secure enough to get rid of my safety net. I sold it 3 months ago and used the money to pay off the mortgage on our home. He can officially retire at age 40. I am telling him at date night this weekend. I hope he is happy. Story 43. My feelings for her are more platonic than anything. It started so amazingly but has been a disaster for 8 of our 10 years married due to her alcoholism. She is 6 months sober, but I cannot help feeling what I feel. Story 44. My wife thinks I cannot drive a manual transmission, so every time we rent a car in Europe, she drives me around and I get to drink all day. Story 45. Not keeping, but back when the PlayStation 5 came out, I somehow snagged one in a small window from Amazon. Then I lucked into getting one from a Sony Digital Direct, only a couple of weeks later. The first was a disc model, which I wanted, and the second was digital only, which she wanted. So I wrapped the first and gave it to her for her birthday. Then I surprised her with the second at Christmas. I actually hid the box behind some furniture and asked her, "Hey, what's that other present over there?" She was surprised and amazed that I kept it a secret. I could have easily opened the first and still given her the second. I'm terrible with secrets like that. She's still amazed that I surprised her with my proposal. She knew it would happen someday, but I did it all in secret and threw her off the scent a couple of times. She expected me to find a ring and then propose the next day. Story 46. How much my mother did not like me marrying him. I will give her her due. She never said it to his face. She was never anything but kind and welcoming to him, or as kind and welcoming as she could manage, as she was not a very demonstrative person. So I let it slide and gave her credit for at least trying to be an adult about it. Before my wedding, she told me she thought I would be a spinster all my life. She had health issues, my father was dead, and she assumed my role in life would be looking after her until she died. She hated him for taking that away from her. Story 47. The disparity between our libidos is slowly draining me. We have been together for 10 years now, so I know I will live happily, but that one aspect of our relationship is challenging. Story 48. He might see this, but that's okay. I can't tell him in person. He scares me now. For 10.5 years, I've never been scared around this man, but lately I am. He seems so angry, even though he says he isn't. I know it's all my fault. I'm not a good enough wife. I should be better. I should be nicer. All I want to do is cry and stay in bed. But I push through for our children. I hope one day he realizes that I still love him, even if I don't show it the way he wants me to. I hope he understands that I would never leave and I don't want to be with anyone else. I'm just struggling hormonally and emotionally. Story 49. I bought him a 4-pack of his favorite soda that is only available in Europe. It is hidden in my desk at work, and he will receive it for his birthday in a few weeks. Story 50. When we were dating, my wife had no money and 2 kids. I also had 2 kids, but a better paying job. Her Suburban kept breaking down, and I would pick it up for her and drop it off at the mechanic. She had 2 separate repairs that were quite expensive. I lied and told her each time it was minor, paying for it myself, saying, "It was only the battery," or something similar. She also had parents of some of her students who would give her gift cards and other things for the holidays. I sent her a loaded Visa gift card from an anonymous parent to the school with $400 on it. She kept smiling, talking about how great the parents were to her, how she could pay off her daughter's braces, and give them a wonderful Christmas. Story 51. I do not want to have another baby. We have a toddler and had planned to have one more in the near future. He knows I am undecided, and we have had several conversations about it. He will ultimately respect my decision and understands my point of view. I have been delaying making a clear decision for about 6 months, maintaining the appearance that I am still undecided. In reality, I know what I want, but I cannot bring myself to say it out loud. He is an absolutely amazing husband and father. It is not his reaction that worries me. I am worried that he will say he is fine, but over time resentment will grow and create a divide between us. Story 52. I am struggling to have any faith or trust in men after being married to him. The first 5 years were awful. He wasn't abusive, he was just absent. He works as a teacher with an absolutely grueling schedule, so understandably, he's exhausted at the end of the day. He had a few relationships before me while I was a virgin when we married, and he carried the baggage of that into our relationship. He expected women to say one thing but do another, to play mind games and try to strong-arm him, at least on a subconscious level. I am not and have never been that woman. I give and give and give, and because his boundaries were up, he took and took and took. I wanted to talk to him about anything. I love seeing how his brain works and learning all the little things that make him tick. I wanted to have sex more, but that newness wasn't there for him, so our eagerness was out of sync. I had 3 pregnancies, 2 of which survived. All the pregnancies were brutal, and the first one left me with 4 autoimmune diseases. I carried on working throughout them, trying to manage our home and repair it on our tiny budget. I'm an artist by trade, and he's an actual scientist, so we're very different. He would notice if the tires were flat on the car, but not that I was so exhausted from breastfeeding our youngest and managing our autistic eldest that I was bumping into walls. He would ask, in such an offended tone, why I forgot what we had talked about that morning when only a few days ago. He had been with me when the doctor told us that my damaged thyroid would badly affect my memory. I wasn't doing it deliberately to spite him. It wasn't that what he had been talking about was unimportant. It was that my thyroid was trying to kill me. I still had an actively healing 3rd-degree tear from birth, and I was breastfeeding all night. I was doing my best, but I was being judged against some past relationship I had no part of. I noticed that our eldest probably had autism when he was 3 years old. I've always suspected I had it, and both my sister and father have been diagnosed with it. I knew what it looked like, and I kept bringing up my concerns, but he didn't see it until a nursery worker mentioned they thought he might have autism. Then suddenly he was all aboard the let's get him checked train. About 2 years ago, I walked out the door when he got annoyed at me for throwing away the wrong jumper. He had asked me to keep an eye out for one of his jumpers that had a broken zipper and to throw it out for him. I had been running on about 4 hours of sleep that day. I found the one I thought he meant and threw it away. Later that evening, he asked for it, and I realized I'd thrown the wrong one away, so I apologized, got it out of the bin, and put it in the wash. He would not stop nagging, asking why I had thrown it out. I kept explaining I had just made a mistake, but he was acting as though I must have done it on purpose, like I had some strange, nefarious reason for throwing out the cardigan. Something in me snapped, and I realized that I was going to spend the rest of my life with this man nagging me, always waiting for me to behave like whatever woman he had dated before. I walked out of the house and stayed at my parents' overnight. We did therapy, and he has since apologized sincerely and shown that he is doing the work. This birthday, he noticed that I really liked an MP3 player he had, so he bought me one in a color he knew I loved, bought me headphones that are noise-canceling, and downloaded all the music I had on old CDs and made them into playlists for me. It was so thoughtful, and I felt so wonderfully seen. But it's been almost 2 years now since he pulled his head out of his ass, yet I still occasionally feel incredibly hopeless. My father is a disgrace of a man, so my first impression of men was something to be wary of. I picked this man very carefully. He was and is a very calm man, unlike my father. He doesn't scream, he doesn't shout, he doesn't smash things. He's a very intelligent man, and when we were dating he was observant and kind. But that kindness just kind of faded away over the first year we were married, and suddenly everything else was more important. I became an appliance that worked in the background. He wasn't happy or even excited to see me at the end of the day, and every time I tried to make his life nicer, let him sleep in even though I had been up all night, for example, he would just take and take and take. Unless it was sex, of course. For that, the sun, moon, and stars had to be perfectly aligned. I have two sons who are such sweethearts, but I see similar behavior, takers. Reciprocity just doesn't seem natural to them. Now that my husband is putting in the work, they're starting to mimic him. But the fact it's not an instinct is jarring. Before I was married, my default opinion of men was that they were natural leaders. Now I think of them as natural takers, like a baby bird, so much potential but undeveloped, with their mouth always open, demanding. They only become altruistic when the people around them demand it of them. And now that I've demanded it, it's tinted how I see him, and it has permanently made me jaded, which I hate. Story 53. I started a business on the side. I am currently making $21,000 extra per month. I plan to pay off the house and buy us a new house within 5 years. Story 54. I have left out many details of abuse I faced in the past when I talked to him about past traumas. I trust him enough to talk about it, but I would really prefer not to revisit that again. I suppose that is the closest I have come to keeping a secret. Story 55. I know about his previous problems with erectile dysfunction after accidentally coming across his medications while unpacking from a trip. He does not have problems now that I know of. I just hope he knows that I absolutely still love him no matter what and that I will never think any less of him. Story 56. I am debating whether to leave him or not. He does not realize. He thinks I have forgiven him, but I have not really. Story 57. I knew he was planning to leave me for his ex if he got better. I held his hand through his last breath anyway. She never showed up. I'm sure he knows I know now, but I'll never say it out loud. Story 58. Are former spouses allowed? I know the real reason why she ended our relationship, and omission is a form of lying. I think she knows my username. Hello there. Story 59. My husband and I have been together for over 10 years and married for 8 of those years. He is the love of my life, and I would be devastated without him. I will never tell him that sometimes he laughs exactly like the brother I had to cut out of my life. He knows my extensive history with that brother and hates him by proxy. Other than saying it here, I am taking that information to my grave. Story 60. To be honest, sometimes I pretend I need assistance opening a pickle jar or something to make him feel manly and needed. Story 61. One time I was really sick for 3 days. I think it was food poisoning. I had diarrhea nonstop. At one point, I took a shower and the diarrhea started, so I had no time to get to the toilet. I had an accident in the shower. I cleaned it up thoroughly but did not tell my wife. She would be a bit grossed out but not mad at me. I figured the deed was done, I cleaned up after myself, and it would not become a regular thing, so there was no reason to tell her. Story 62. I did not accidentally drop and break the bacon grease jar in the parking lot when I went to empty it for our move. I purposefully dropped it in the dumpster instead. Story 63. He has never really had a big fuss made over his birthday by anyone, just normal celebrations. But this year is his first milestone birthday that I have been with him for. He is turning 40 years old. I have slowly been buying him presents and hiding them. I am giving him a birthday month where he opens numbered presents, 40 presents for 40 years, each day leading up to his birthday. We will have a party to celebrate with his family and friends. Story 64. His first Father's Day is coming up, and I got him custom Hawaiian shirts with some of the flowers replaced by our twins' faces. He is going to be obsessed, and not giving them early is so hard. Story 65. I am a 54-year-old male, married for 26 years. We dated for over 4 years. She became pregnant before we married, and I always doubted the child was mine. I have mastered the art of perfect withdrawal. We were not in a position to have a baby out of wedlock, as we were still in school and faced Catholic pressures. About 8 years ago, her best friend visited from Florida, where she moved about 10 years ago. She was tipsy and let it slip that it was an affair all along. The best friend began to cry, begging me not to tell my wife what I had just discovered for fear that her 30-year friendship with my wife would end. The best friend had no idea that I did not know the truth. It was me who was there holding my wife's hand through it all, paying for it and consoling her. I did all I could to let it go since it was many years ago, but this really affected my mind and still does. Wrongly, I coped with this by seeking revenge sex. She, to this day, has no clue. No, it did not help. I should have just stuck to pornography. We have been happily married as dual income, no children. We never had kids and have a near-perfect relationship, but our sex life has been very poor and gets worse every year. She has no clue that I know she misled me to believe I paid to abort our child when it was never mine to begin with. Story 66. I'm afraid of him. I'm afraid that if I step into my own power and strength as a woman, it will push him away. He sees me as low maintenance, perfect, and easy, but some days I want to challenge him. I think he knows that he scares me. There is a power imbalance between us, and we both know it, but we don't talk about it. We don't talk about anything. It is the elephant in the room. The even bigger secret is I miss him. He is physically around, but in all other aspects, he is gone. He is not present. I miss the man he was before having a baby and before the stress of things. He is just angry, stoic, and distant all the time. I often wonder if he is cheating or if I am just in my head with feelings about it all. Another thing is my feelings are starting to fade because of all this. I don't care anymore what he does or says. I am slowly losing my feelings. Story 67. Our financial risk exposure. She does not have the stomach for risk, and the daily value at risk would give her a heart attack. Story 68. I hate going on hikes. My boyfriend loves it, and I do it with him because I know a lot of it is looking for free ways to spend intentional time together. But I hate it. I am prone to mosquito bites. The number I can get in one day has brought me to tears before, and I have pretty low stamina. Luckily, he never minds when I say I want to go back, so I usually try to stick it out for 1 to 2 hours. If anyone has any ideas for cheap ways to spend time together outside of being at home all day, please let me know. Story 69. Hosier is performing in my country this month, specifically on Friday the 30th. I have been working 12 hours straight during the week to buy a ring for her. I am proposing to her during the song Work Song. Story 70. I upgraded to first class to go see my mother. I do not get gifts, flowers, or much affection, so forget it. Treat yourself. Story 71. I did the blood test that tells me the baby's gender early, and I am saving the results for Father's Day. Story 72. My husband has long hair, and when we go to shower, he often forgets to remove his hair tie and flicks it over the shower doors towards the sink without looking. One time, when he had a particularly bad day, he launched it and managed to land it right around the faucet handle. I expressed great surprise, and that simple, minor feat of luck really helped brighten his day. He keeps trying to repeat it and is adamant that he will get it again. What I will never tell him is that I caught the hair tie and put it on the faucet myself to give him a win for the day. It was a small thing from about 5 years ago that delighted him a little when he needed it, and I cannot take that away from him now. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.